Hello, this is the essay I wrote called Rose and Sword by Terry Bale. That's me. This is the middle of page 8. I think I'm just going to read straight on. I hope you can find the first half of page 8. uh, but I need to get it done, so I need to just start in. So this is Rose and Sword, and it's the next day. I think it was yesterday that I recorded up to the first half of page 8. Okay, here goes. I speak of all these things, knowing full well that there are those who won't want to see things this way. That's okay. This writing is not for them then, I guess. But it may be useful for those who think that they have nothing. For if you think that you have nothing, look again. The capacities that you have within you are more valuable than all the stuff that anyone on this earth can acquire. Okay, so you can't be another Leonardo da Vinci. But then again, neither can he make your mother smile, nor can he brighten up your neighborhood, nor can he tend your garden, nor write down your thoughts. He can't have your experiences, and therefore contribute to raising your children, nor be a benefit to your friends, etc. Come to think of it, Leonardo da Vinci may have reason to be envious of you. And if you're stuck in bed about to die, understand, nobody but you can petition God like you can, on behalf of your friends, your family, and yourself, on behalf of your country, this world, and your dog. He cares about sparrows, he cares about dogs, but more importantly, he cares about and hears you. And an earnest prayer in the proper direction has more clout with him than hours of flowery rhetoric by the highest in the land, whoever that happens to be. Even if you're not dying, you matter. You count. Are you in pain? Bring it to bear on the eternal. God hears even distant cries, and they move his heart, if life is their purpose, the seeking and supporting of life, not bitterness or vengeance or fleshly thrills, which are the courting of or seeking of sword stuff and death. Life and death, these are the two great choices, the two final destinations to choose from, and all things and all choices fit somewhere in between these two greats. Life is like a sea of choices. It matters not only what we take hold of, but also how we use it, and even how we relate to and respond to it. So it is mistaken to think that all bad has some good in it, and that all good has some bad in it, but rather, things that are generally safe can be used for bad purposes, and things that are generally dangerous can be used for good purposes. Well, I'm not sure all of these things got covered during that first conversation between my daughter and I, but a lot of them did. It was later, on another occasion, that it occurred to us that we should also begin to recognize that there are different strengths of these rose and sword things that display a whole spectrum of strengths and weaknesses. That is, that things can be found to be more distant from the line or closer to the line than other things of similar makeup. Like how a gold coin. So we really got into talking a lot and thinking. Like how a gold coin, being on the sword side, would fall even farther toward the non-living sword side of the spectrum than would a lump of unprocessed gold of the same essential weight and value, while the raw gold would be closer to the line, closer to being a rose-like thing, being created by God and one of a kind, and not so very acted upon by man. In fact, the raw gold might fall in the middle, that is, on the line, or even between the categories, where also would fall all the other primary, non-living elements and materials that God has created and allowed us to use, and uses himself to build the physical mechanisms of his living creations. I wonder. Well, if that's the case, then we should consider a lump of mined and smelted gold instead, and compare that to the gold coin. In that, for sheer stack and storability of the coin, and for its precise flat sides and man-crafted design, and tested grade of purity, and then also for its tradability, it would be correct to recognize the gold coin as more concentrated, more condensable in mass quantities, and more marketable, and therefore more powerful, and more dangerous than the mined and smelted gold under normal circumstances. Yet it could also be more beneficial if used to promote proper life. And then, on the other side of the line, a hybrid plant would fall closer to the line, and therefore closer to being a sword-like thing, than a non-hybrid plant of the same family, as the hybrid plant is generally engineered by man to concentrate desired attributes into one plant, which is then often mass-produced by way of grafting by man, in that it falls more toward the middle, toward the non-living side of the chart. It makes me wonder if there is somehow less living value or less nutritive value in a hybrid plant. It is obvious that hybrids don't outright kill us, I don't think. Yet if we ate only hybrids, or predominantly hybrids, might that not cause some trouble? As it comes to be evident that any time a person leans heavily toward the sword, non-living side, without giving great attention to its effects on the rose, living side, they're headed for trouble. At least this scale of things can give us some things to think about. In fact, this scale of things has made me see that the rose side would be better represented by a beautiful non-hybrid rose with flowers and leaves, stems, roots and all, than by some cropped blossom of the hybrid tea variety. A hybrid tea rose is the fancy kind. It's funny to think that the lists themselves become a useful tool to examine other things on the lists, or even heading the lists. It's kind of like using a washcloth to wash your hands, then using your hands to wash the washcloth, or using the rungs of a ladder to support yourself to climb up and examine the wall that supports the ladder. Funny. At first, to be honest, the idea of a non-hybrid rose kind of rubbed me in the wrong way, so to speak. But I guess that's because I'm so used to thinking of beauty in the extreme, as there has been so much advertising run through my mind, that probably the majority of my early exposure to nature, especially being raised a city girl, came from photographs and marketing-centered promotions. Some years ago, I turned away from that kind of stuff, and I'm more in touch with life stuff now. But that early programming still pushes me in the same old direction when I let it. So when I thought of a rose, I unnaturally thought of one of those big, beautiful red things on greeting cards or gardening books or magazine covers, etc. It's not that those big, beautiful red things are bad. There goes somebody. It's not that those big, beautiful red things are bad, but it would be best to recognize that they do have more to do with the sword side than many other gently beautiful living things. And so it's not quite fitting to have them represent that category. So from now on, I'll try to envision a beautiful non-hybrid rose bush in full bloom as representing the sword side of the lists, and I invite you to join me. But I guess a lot of things are like that. The advertising industry and the media, which is like one big advertising industry, compete one product against another, always trying to get your attention and impress you. So each picture, each slogan, each effort to get your attention must be more catchy or more colorful or more strange and therefore more curious, or louder or faster or more intense than its competitors, or they figure it will be left unnoticed or too easily forgotten, and their money then, they feel, has gone down the drain. Unlike God, they aren't just interested in blessing us and giving us life. In a way, they could have been. But the sword side was just so powerful that they gave in to the temptation to use it to serve themselves by us, instead of serving God and serving us, and blessing, in effect, themselves and everybody around. Furthermore, the sad thing is that these industries don't just compete product against product and slogan against slogan, but also product against reality and slogan against truth. That's downright scary, really. Especially when you consider how successful they are in persuading people to think their way. Of course, it's good that people develop mental defenses against advertising. But then the advertisers just go undercover and fill up the spaces in between the commercials with their latest styles and ideas and gimmicks, masquerading them as real life options and even necessities. Let's see if I can put this up higher. Guys, it's still springtime out there. Can you see there's ice on the pond over there? And water running down on the driveway. But there is blue sky back there. So we're here at this. So it's a quiet place I found. Not far from the last place. It's about a mile from the last place. Just in the woods, like. I better go on. But I like reality. Something special about God's good reality. Especially when it's a beautiful day. I want to turn this around and show you. See? See what I'm looking at? Sorry. Should have showed you that earlier. And can you see the water that's kind of pouring down the driveways? The little by little, the snow is melting from the edges. And it's got to go somewhere, so it just is kind of messy. But isn't that a beautiful sky? So I'm going to rest it there. There, that's what I'm looking at. Past you. Past this phone. Okay. That last line. But then the advertisers just go undercover and fill up the spaces in between the commercials with their latest styles and ideas and gimmicks, masquerading them as real life options and even necessities. So then, our thoughts and lives come to be dominated by sword stuff. Things that are artificially colored, fantastically flavored, cool, extreme, high-tech, precision-made, and state-of-the-art, and cold and hard and virtually lifeless. While real life, being mild and common, soft-spoken and unobtrusive, moderate and warm, and life-giving, is left standing outside the door. The whole thing has been an eye-opener for me to see. The whole thing has been an eye-opener to me, for me to see how programmed I am to think only of extreme things as beautiful or valuable, whereas it is the lively, moderate, generally unadvertised, and not for sale things that bring life. I guess that's partly why I thought that ferreting this thing out might actually turn out to be valuable. Some instinct in me said that if a person can manage to see the substructure of a thing, they'll know how to deal with that thing much better. Be it the hand under the puppet, the engine under the hood, or the pig in a poke. A poke, I'm told, is a sack or a bag. And somehow it seems that at this point in history, we can use all the help that we can get. Let's see. It seems that we were talking about hybrids and how they may or may not affect our health. Oh, here comes another car. So I just smile at him. Let's see. Can you see? It's a white car. I don't think you can see. Oh well. But they're turning around, so I'll pause it. They might be coming back to talk to me. Thank you. Bye. Or I'll wait. Good, it did pause this time. Other times I've paused it and came back and it was goners. But here. And guys, I must admit, I lick my fingers to turn the pages, but I'm the only one who's going to be touching these books. And when I get home, I'll wash my hands, and we all wash our hands, and we're pretty healthy. It's old-fashioned. Okay. And somehow it seems that at this point of history, we can use all the help we can get. Let's see. It seems that we were talking about hybrids. Am I holding? It throws a shadow on the phone, on the picture, when I hold up this page in front of it. So I don't know if it changes things for you or not. I don't know. It seems that we were talking about hybrids and how they may or may not affect our health. Actually, there's a whole load of other things to be considered concerning what we eat and drink, but the health food and vitamin industries have done a lot with that already. Yet it is interesting to note that while most whole natural foods would fall on the one side of the chart, many, if not most, health food products would fall on the other side of the chart. Though until now, I would have thought of them both as being on the same side. But the more that's why I needed to write this down, and I did get it written down, and I need to get it explained before it's too hard to read to explain. Just regular me. I don't know who would like this. I know there's some people who like to think, who like ideas. I did. I do. I don't have time for tons, but some of them are really useful. Like Thoreau, Henry David Thoreau. He just lived life and wrote about it. So glad he did. So that's the kind of thing. Okay, page 11 at the top. After that first conversation, I began to wonder if other things, non-substantial things, might be charted. Concepts or activities or social structures, for instance. For starters, it seems, let's see what time, 18 minutes. That's doing good. For starters, it seems that there are a lot of activities that might be charted effectively. Oh, here's another one where I better turn this around. If I can turn this around. Which I'll show you the blue sky again. See? Boy, it's almost prettier on this phone than it is. It's just a little fainter in real life. But it's real in real life, guys. See how they intensify things. Oh well, man-made stuff does like to intensify. Okay, now, point is, now how do I get this? It's like yesterday, like the last Rosensword from page, I think, was it 4 to 8, where I point out things. So I'm going to do it again. and I hope it'll be okay. For starters, it seems that there are a lot of activities that might be charted effectively, like rows and sword, impromptu yard games compared to scheduled organized sports, independent walking, running, jumping, etc., timed, measured, competitive walking, running, jumping, etc., going to fields, woods, parks, going to health clubs, personally learning a skill, team drills and competition, swimming, diving, snorkeling, scuba diving has to have a electronic or anyway high-tech thing on your back, trekking over or sliding on snow, skiing or snowmobiling. Don't get me wrong, some of those, let's see, it's different brightness. If I turn it sideways, so the light goes with the light. Don't get me wrong, some of those sword things have something special to offer. But we shouldn't let them throw a shadow on the calmer, quieter, more living things. And then there are other things like rose and sword, reading a book, going to the theater, talking with friends, listening to a debate, playing an instrument or listening live, one life sharing music directly with another life, more personal, playing the radio or listening to music no longer attached directly to life, more anonymous, visiting and helping elderly friends and relatives, studying research on the needs and conditions of the elderly. It's got its sense, but it's different. Giving good things, taking the best things, defending others, looking out for number one, helping others, helping yourself. From scratch, box mix, tried and true, new and improved. Hasn't been tried yet. I'm not sure if it's improved. Making do with good old favorites, searching for something new and exotic. Again, just because it's on the sword side of things doesn't make it automatically bad. But as for me, and as of now, it does make it automatically suspect. For I see now that sword things need to be used sparingly and in the right way, if at all, or they'll do more to deaden and toughen and seal out the freshness of life if you let them. Here, I'll turn it back. First, I'll show you the blue sky. Then, how do I turn? Oh, yeah. So, go back. Yet, even the rose side of things can be used more to death than to life if they are used only to benefit one's own life selfishly. All in all, life-giving things need to be used to fuel a life-giving lifestyle, or we're throwing good effort after bad and using life to support death. Whoa, that's heavy. And our own lives are not the only ones we're talking about here. There's a whole sea of people out there who know little else but high-tech, prefab, intense, extreme stuff and ideas and activities which are designed by man to all but satisfy the individual. They don't want to satisfy you so much that you never have to come back. They want you to come back and do more, buy more, etc. They've turned us into consumers, and we don't even perceive that as a derogatory term. So, turn the page. Page 12. 24 minutes. One helpful thing to note is that this way of life has always existed. There have always been people who major on consuming, or people who primarily want to gratify their own desires. It's just sad that nowadays there are lots of people who don't know or have forgotten that there is another way to live. The merchandisers within the media have just about drowned us in encouragements to consume, because that way they figure we'll buy more of their stuff. But once we're really drowned, that is, soaked, saturated, and dead, because sword stuff really does bring death eventually. Then what will they do? But then again, the drowners are drowning too. Living by the sword, we are dying by the sword. That is a quote from the Bible. He who lives by the sword shall die by the sword. I don't know quite where that's located, but I'll try to find it for you. It's in the Bible if you look up the word sword. Living by the sword, we're dying by the sword, and our civilization is coming to an end. But take heart, the Bible tells us that God will step in. He has a stake in all this. His son got involved personally, so he's not going to just give up on us. But in remembering that there actually is a classic consumer type, it seems that there is something here that we should note. Namely, that people who live mostly on the sword side of things, who use all their heart and soul to gain more and more of the concentrated man-made, sword not living type of stuff, never intending it to benefit anyone else in any life-giving sort of way, will often also delight in using the rose living type stuff for their own pleasure, their own consumption, or for to gain another tally mark on their own personal score sheet. This is sad. This is dangerous. This is actually a big mistake, and it is often much of what the Bible calls sin and wickedness. And this attitude and these actions bring a person to death stuff, and even eventually to death itself. Again, like the same man I spoke of earlier, Ivan Panin. Like the man Ivan Panin said, "The lover of goodness cannot but be a good man. The lover of beauty can still be a bad man." End quote. So just because a person seems to greatly prize or admire, or seems to encourage living stuff, and even if he works hard or enthusiastically to gain or become involved with living stuff, it doesn't mean necessarily that he's up to any real good. He may be even up to really bad stuff, even death, even death itself. I don't know what I had in mind when I wrote that one. Even death itself. I think it's probably true. Often you'll find people like this who don't realize what they're doing. They're damaging their own lives deliciously, luxuriously, but it's just as deadly in the long run. The danger is that sword stuff distances the people who have plenty from other people who have plenty, and also from the people who have not plenty, thus putting up barriers to relationships. Needs bring us to need people. And then in getting together with people to satisfy those simple needs, you find that your more complex needs to communicate with people and to care and be cared for and to love and be loved get satisfied too along the way. But if you build up a lot of stuff and securely provide for your future material needs, you lose the motivation to get together with others in real life-exchanging ways. And letting some basic need build up, we've discovered, like when you're on a trip and you need to stop and stretch your legs, or eat or drink, or go to the bathroom, and then you stop and fill that need, is one of the sweetest pleasures on earth. Just why, I don't know, but it probably has something to do with relief and gratitude, deeper levels of life. But if that's the case, then doing all we can to provide for the instant satisfaction of our needs is going about pleasure seeking all backwards. Of course, we need to be diligent and work with the Lord to provide for our needs, but providing too much too soon can do more harm than good. Furthermore, people who have plenty often find themselves giving their loved ones things instead of giving them their love and their time and their attention. And so sword stuff can damage their lives in that way too. It's 30. I think I'm going to leave it at that because it changes subject slightly. This is the end of page 12 of Rose and Sword by Terry Bale. That's me. Thank you for listening. I hope this is okay. Thank you. When should I stop it? It'd be nice to stop it at 30:30, but maybe that's too far. That is coming up. Okay, talk to you later. Ooh, I'll turn to see the beautiful sky.